As you're watching this show right now, sitting back, perhaps you're on a chair or sitting in front of the TV, about 4,000 bits of information are coming to your brain right now. It's bombarding you, but why you don't feel overwhelmed is because your mind learns to filter them out, because otherwise you'd be overwhelmed. At the same time, thoughts throughout this episode and throughout your day just pop up in your head. Some of them are sequential. You think about one thing, you think about another, but many of them just pop up in your head. And all day long, from these bits of information that you have to filter, your mind automatically filters, to thoughts that go through your brain throughout the day, it wears you down. So that at the end of the day, when you sleep, you get a reprieve from that constant talking, that constant information going on in your brain. Which a lot of it is superfluous, you don't need it all, but it just keeps going and going and going. And it just exhausts you, so that if you don't sleep at night and get a break, a reprieve from those thoughts, you'll find that you'll literally, when people don't get enough sleep, they go crazy, they go mad, they start hallucinating. Really bad things happen to us. And when people say they had a bad night's sleep, what they mean by that is they didn't sleep well. Their mind was thinking things. A good night's sleep is when your mind is quiet, when your mind is still. So what I want to talk about in this episode is how you can have that restful, peaceful state of sleep during the day, believe it or not. And I'd love to hear back from you, because this is a little bit of a controversial argument that many of you may have never heard of before. So, after I talk, email us back. There's a comment sheet at the bottom of each episode. Comment and let's dialogue about it. But what I mean is, if you can learn to quiet your mind, obviously meditation is one way that, I teach and many people teach for quieting your mind. But another way is actually to just not, when the thoughts come, not to follow them, but to have a still, quiet mind throughout the day. It's something difficult to do, but what happens is if you learn to quiet your mind throughout the day, so a thought arrives, you think about getting the groceries, or you think about your anger at Uncle Joe, or a thought pops in your head, and usually they come from nowhere. You may sequentially think about them, but the thoughts come from nowhere, you're not creating the thoughts. The thoughts basically just pop in your head. And so, but what you do is you create a story with that thought. You follow it for a minute, an hour, all day long, and that just wears your brain down. What if, when those thoughts arose in your head, instead of following them, you notice them? There's a thought. You notice that thought, but then you get back to being. You're just being totally present with what is right here, right now, silently witnessing what is happening, quietly being present, but not giving commentary, not saying good, bad, I like, I don't like, just watching quietly. And then sometimes, even as you're watching, there's really nothing to even think about. It's just a silence that you can have throughout the day. And what you may find, because it's what I found, when you're able to quiet your mind during the day, not just when you're meditating and not just when you're sleeping, but throughout the day, when you don't have thoughts going on and you learn to just be in the moment, you'll find that things get better. Your life starts improving, because the wonderful sleep you get every night, you now get to have during the day. And so that you will begin to be transformed into a much more peaceful, a much more truly blissful person, because you now aren't being beaten down all day long by these thoughts. So what it is how can I, or how can you, just be 100% present with what is, without having that egoic commentary going on all day long? I like, I don't like, go away, I want more, thinking about, planning, hating, instead just being. Just being still, not worrying about what will happen in 5 minutes, 5 days from now, not concerned about what happened in the past, not evaluating good or bad, but just being 100% present with what is. And when thoughts arise, notice them, but then get back to just being. Be present, be still with what is. I would really love to hear if you think what I'm talking about is a possibility, and if you've tried it, how does it go from you? So I look forward to hearing from you. Peace.
Our first question this week comes to us from Charlene H. in Placentia, California. Infidelity was an issue in my marriage, and although I'm separated and feel like I'm healing, I get really upset when I'm reminded about the issue through the media. How do you get over something when it keeps slapping you in the face?
Well, Charlene, what that is actually showing you is that as you are transitioning and healing, there is still more healing to occur. The reason when you see something on the media that reminds you of what your spouse did or your ex-spouse did is that it means that there's still a lot of pain inside of you, and it's actually not even a bad thing, because so often what people do is they, particularly in relationships, they have a wound, like you have a wound right now, and they really don't heal it, and they just move on to the next relationship, and then something else happens, and then that wound is compounded because now you have the person that hurt you before, and now you're hurt again, and it actually gets more intense. So it's actually good when the feelings come up, because they're just saying, help us, heal us. They're a reminder of you need to continue to in your process of healing through therapy and through the anger work that we talk about, and then being sad and angry and finding really good ways to go through the process of getting well. Because when infidelity occurs, it is very, very painful. It can take not days, not weeks, not even months. Sometimes it can take years to completely heal from that. And really the key is too, and Elizabeth can talk more about it, but the key is you actually know you're done and you're healed when you can see things on the media and you don't feel anything, or it's more like it's there but it doesn't bring up much at all. That's how actually you know you're done. So you will know that you're done as you continue your healing when you watch things on the news and they remind you of what your husband's done and you don't feel much. But as you're healing, you may not want to expose yourself to too much of it because it also will be painful to you.
When you are struggling with something, right then and there, it feels like this open wound, and right now it still may feel like that, but eventually as more and more time goes and you really kind of cleanse out that wound and deal with it and just resolve the pain and kind of get out whatever you're feeling, like he had said, through therapy and through lots of different things. You can use art, you can use exercise, but it's really focusing on it, because a lot of times we just want to shut ourselves off and want to ignore it and get away from it. But what it's telling you right now is that I'm hurting and I still need to process and deal with this. And so what I was saying though is that eventually it'll become like a scar. So you know that was there, you know that pain happened, but it no longer hurts. So you can look at it where stuff will come up and it's not going to affect you as much as it did at one time, and you'll see that eventually it'll get less and less. And of course it's unfortunate that those things happen, but now I think is a good time for you to start to grow and love yourself, so that whatever relationship you end up in down the line, wherever you're at, you choose a healthy partner to be with, and you continue to take care of yourself and make sure you make yourself a priority. You're important to yourself, and this is a great time for you to do that because you have a lot of healing to do. And whether it is a relationship that you were in for a year, 15 years, 20 years, either way it's extremely painful. But when you're in that for a long time, that's a lot of pain. That's somebody who you were with for a long time that has caused a lot of damage. So it's going to take a while to get over that. So be patient with yourself and allow yourself time to heal, but make sure you take the time to heal because it's very, very important.
The good news is, Charlene, too, is that you can heal 100%, and that, as Elizabeth was saying, with time it will just become a scar and it won't hurt at all. So continue on your process of healing. It can take a while, but it's worth that effort because you want to be a really holistically healthy person, and the way to do that is to get all the pain out of you so you can live full, healthy life.
Thank you so much for your question, and we wish you the best of luck.